Hello, I just wanted to address what I think is going on with, I'll call it Loree McBride's COVID-19. Okay, so I will refer to it from now on as Loree's virus. In my opinion, I think one of the reasons Florida is spiking so much with Loree's virus is because she's been dropping bombs like crazy over Florida. In fact, you can see this is a picture taken in June 2020 of what the skies looked like over South Florida. This is from a picture taken by one of my Facebook friends. And all I can say is, and that person has come down with Loree's virus and even had to go to the hospital. Um, this is what I think is going on. You might say, should we do what the CDC says? Well, Jesus said to respect people's fears about the virus. He doesn't feel that social distancing is necessary. And I asked Brent Spiner, who's a medical doctor who graduated from UCLA Medical School, what's going on with Loree's virus. And Brent says it's like the flu. He said some people at Church of Gail came down with Loree's virus and they were panicking because they thought, oh no, I got it. And Brent said, just calm down. What you have is just like the flu. So if you handle it like you would a regular flu infection, you'll be fine. And so you might say, but it's the news is saying you get really bad respiratory problems. I find this interesting about the respiratory problems because I personally think this is what's going on. I think we have an epidemic of Candida auris. Okay, Candida auris, and because Loree decided to launch a blitzkrieg of germ bombs all over the world, apparently trying to wipe out our enemies with these horrible infections. That's the reason I have to be on Seroquel 24/7 because she's constantly dropping bombs over me, trying to make me sick. I guarantee you, if I was not on Seroquel, I would probably be dead or have insanity induced by Candida auris. That's what's really bad about Candida auris. Loree can use the yeast, it's a super yeast, to make her brain control more effective to the point where she can artificially induce schizophrenia. I don't know if I should say artificially, but you would get schizophrenia caused by a yeast infection to your brain. This actually happened to Florida Governor Rick Scott, though we were able to get him into the hospital and cure the yeast infection to his brain, so I believe he's okay now, and put him on Seroquel. But that's the problem with the yeast. This yeast seems to have an affinity for the nervous system, but it does give you upper respiratory system symptoms, and that makes sense since the number one way to catch it is through Loree's bombs, which she's dropping over your head. And you might say, well, why aren't they hitting the ground? Well, from what I understand, I think my Gale shield has expanded out into the universe again like it did in 2016. I'm not sure. But even if it hasn't, I know that my men are putting up shields all over the world to protect people from Loree's bombs, Loree McBride's bombs. So what Loree has come up with is it appears she's created automatons, like human-like robots, and she zips them underneath the shields, and she launches the bombs from underneath the shields. And that explains the low-lying clouds that you might see all around you. But the problem is, even though she's trying to get the bombs to hit the ground, which would be catastrophic if that happened, they kind of like bounce up. The shield keeps them, even when they're launched, even when an automaton launches the bomb to hit the ground, the shield will bounce the bomb up and it doesn't hit the ground. But it doesn't bounce it up as high as it would be if the bomb was launched from above the shield, from top to bottom. But Loree's trying to defeat the shields by putting automatons underneath the shields that launch the bombs and underneath the shield. So she doesn't care if her robots are killed, because we've been trying to detect these robots and stop them before they do this. I call them automatons. They look like people. And so basically the automaton launches the bomb underneath the shield, and I guess it just after that it gets destroyed by the shield, and she doesn't care. All she needs is enough time to launch the bomb, and then she doesn't care what happens to her automaton. This is how evil she is. So that's why you're seeing all these low-lying clouds, super low-lying clouds. These are the automatons launching her bombs underneath the shield. The reason she wants to get the bombs as close to the ground as possible is because the bombs are concentrated with deadly germs. I believe Loree's virus, which is the COVID-19 virus, is in these bombs, along with Candida Auris, which she may have modified to make it even more deadly. What's very interesting, to cover up the fact that she's doing this, and to just say, oh, those aren't bombs you're seeing in the sky. Those are just regular clouds, thunderstorms. Yeah, right. It's funny that I never noticed low-lying clouds until about 2017 and afterwards, when Loree came to power. Never, or maybe it was 2016. Angelina Ballerina came to power around September 2016. So from September 2016 forward, all of a sudden, we see these super low-lying clouds in the sky, and they look different from the other clouds that are higher up. Those are the bombs. Why is it that we don't remember seeing clouds like this before 2016, huh? Anyways, and you might say, why, if Jesus is in charge, why does he allow this to happen? Well, Jesus is allowing Satan to have temporary kingship over the earth right now. This doesn't mean Jesus can't intervene, and Satan doesn't have complete power, but basically Jesus is pretty much giving Satan a free rein. You may say, why is he doing this? It's a complicated subject. It has to do with free will. Jesus is really big into free will. And but the good news is, if you accept Christ as your Savior, and I'll have a link underneath this video for how you can do that, that Jesus will give you means to overcome Satan's influence in your life. And, you might say, oh, Jesus is so mean. Why doesn't he just wipe out the Jesuits once and for all? Actually, when we first started communicating with him in January and February 2012, that's what he was doing. The Jesuits were launching new cockies all over the earth, and Jesus was just wiping them out left and right. And he stopped interfering when Satan impersonated Jesus and started talking to me brain to brain. Satan used Zach Knight, who was Antichrist at that time, to impersonate Jesus and make love to me brain to brain. And he impregnated me with Satan's black devil semen. And Jesus had to abort the babies. And then Jesus said, Gail, because this happened to you, I cannot directly interfere anymore. He said, I've come up with a non-interference agreement between me and Satan and the Antichrist. Zach Knight was the Antichrist. I believe the Antichrist is now Loree McBride, or whoever is running the evil Jesuit order. It may not be Loree. It was Angelina for a while. So whoever that person is, they have Antichrist powers. And Jesus has a non-interference agreement, which is kind of a complex document, Zach Knight tells us. But basically, the way it works is this. Jesus says, Satan, I'm not going to interfere with you anymore as long as you don't interfere with Gail. Okay? See, Satan felt like he had the right to interfere with me because Jesus was interfering with me. So that's the reason Jesus isn't doing anything right now. Jesus did promise, though, that I and my men would defeat the Jesuits, and I think we're close. I think we're really close. So Jesus is a lot smarter than us. You may say, if he's such a great God, he is going to reign over the earth. I'll have a link underneath this video where Dr. Andy Woods has some excellent videos that describe what Christ's future 1,000-year reign will be like. And boy, it is going to be awesome. People will live to like 900 to 1,000 years old. There will be no more disease. Jesus will be king over the entire earth, and King David will be the ruler over Israel, a resurrected King David in his resurrection body. During the millennium, you're going to have a mix of mortals and immortals living together. It's a very interesting time. And it's a future 1,000-year reign. And then after that, it's kind of a complex subject. My next novel, my Silver Skies 1996 version, will be going into it. But anyways, the main point is it doesn't pay to follow Satan. He's a defeated foe. He's reigning now, but it's only temporary. I think the rapture is going to happen by 2034, and then we'll have the 7-year tribulation and the millennium. I am certain that by the year 2100, the earth will be in Christ's 1,000-year reign. I'm certain of it, because I've been a really deep student in Bible prophecy. In fact, I just passed the Dallas Theological Seminary Revelation and Daniel course with straight hundreds. So, and plus I know my Bible. Bible prophecy is a subject that I have studied a long time. So, people, if people call you crazy because you believe in Jesus and because you believe the Bible, don't feel bad. That's what the Pharisees accused Jesus Christ of when he was on earth. They said, Jesus, you're beside yourself. That means you're insane. Yeah. When Jesus was here on earth, they called him crazy. The Pharisees did. They were the respected religious leaders of the Jewish nation at the time. And everybody was supposed to look up to them. And boy, were they stuck on themselves too. They were very self-righteous, practicing secret sins that they didn't think anybody noticed. Of course, God knew all about it. And, said people call you crazy, and they call me crazy. The Bible says the servant is not above his master. So expect to be called crazy. Consider it a compliment. It means you're following. Don't actually be crazy, but nowadays, the ones who are crazy are the people that are running the world. And if you follow Jesus, you're one of the minority that is sane, okay? The world is getting super crazy, and a lot of the stuff that's happening is hard to believe. Regarding these bombs, like I was saying, let me get back onto the subject of the bombs. The bombs, I believe, are filled with Candida auris and Loree's virus. And because Loree knew she was going to launch a blitzkrieg of bombs, she decided to create a plandemic. This whole thing was planned. And infect everybody with the flu. The flu based on a cold germ, a coronavirus. And it's interesting that its primary symptoms are respiratory. That should give you the clue where you're catching this from. Yes, you're catching it from the air, from the bombs she's dropping over your head. And the reason I think Florida has gotten such a spike is because Loree's been dropping more bombs over Florida. The number one way to catch Loree's virus is not from person-to-person contact, though, use common sense about that. I actually aced my microbiology course, and I have a degree in health. But it's not from person-to-person contact. It's from the bomb she's dropping over your head. If you want to stay healthy, the best thing to do is to do the Gale commandments. You take your Seroquel. See, the problem is if you're not on Seroquel, you're about 100% guaranteed to get a Candida auris infection. That's going to lower your immune system, which means when you're infected with the Loree's virus, which is like a flu, you're going to have a mixed infection. You're going to have a weakened immune system because of the Candida auris, which means the flu will probably affect you like pneumonia. It's funny that you're getting mainly upper respiratory symptoms with this, but to be honest with you, they're probably not reporting some of the other symptoms like the gastrointestinal and other symptoms that you get with Candida auris. But because the means of contracting it is from the bombs, of course it's going to always affect your upper respiratory system. So think about this. The fact that Loree's virus primarily infects the upper respiratory system means its primary means of transmission is through the air or threw the bombs over your head. You go, that's not fair. Why doesn't Jesus? Actually, Jesus is using my men, and we are actually trying to clean up the air everywhere, but we can't keep up with Loree's bombs. She drops them like a blitzkrieg all over the planet, and they're getting stronger with more germs in them, more concentrated. And if anybody wants to help us out, contact my men at gailsmen@yahoo.com. We got a team of scientists working around the clock trying to defeat Loree's bombs. If you're a scientist and you want to help us, we could use all the help we can get. So contact my men at gailsmen@yahoo.com. But anyways, somebody was making the comment, you should be careful when you go on your walks because if you're not wearing your mask, you're going to get Loree's virus. You might say, how do you feel about masks? I don't know. Personal opinion, I don't think they make a heck of a lot of difference. I've heard good and bad things about them. I would say what I do is when I go for my walks, I don't wear a mask when I'm outdoors because why do I need to wear a mask when I'm outdoors? I don't bump into people, and if I do, I always try to avoid other people anyway, unless it's one of my friends, but usually I do solo walks, and I'm not within 6 feet of people. The Jesuits try to get within 6 feet of me all the time. They don't practice social distancing, even though they tell everybody else to do it. But let me tell you something. I've been taking this route now for almost 6 years. Well, yeah. And I have not caught one upper respiratory infection except once. And it was kind of, I think it was gastrointestinal. It wasn't upper respiratory. And which means I didn't catch it on my walks. I caught it because I went to the hospital when my stepdad was dying, and I caught it from the hospital. Yeah, I caught some gastrointestinal bug from the hospital, but I was over it in a couple of days while I was visiting him. He's in heaven now in his mansion. My men actually went to heaven ahead of time. And yes, they did. And they built a mansion for him to welcome him. Me and my men are Bible writers, Bible for Tribulation Saints. But anyways, the best way to stay, that's all I've caught. In fact, I guarantee you, I probably would be more likely to catch Loree's virus if I wasn't going out for my walks, because Jesus puts medicine in the air to help you. And if you're not exercising, if you're not going outdoors, getting outdoors some vitamin D sunshine if you can, it's been raining a lot here, but just do the Gale commandments. Take your Seroquel, eat a balanced diet, get enough rest, keep your place clean. I do all this stuff. Be financially responsible. Don't spend money on anything except food and bills. That way you'll have money for savings. So when stuff like this happens, you're not up the creek. If you lose your job or whatever. If you've been doing the Gale commandments all along and you lost your job, you probably have a savings buffer there that you might be able to use. And then just trust Jesus because he's got other plans for you if you don't get your old job back, and pray for his guidance. First, you got to accept him as your savior. And then after that, ask Psalm 37, 4 and 5, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. So take only one don't take a bunch of pills, and so that's it, you do that, you're fine. So if anybody says, let me tell you something. If you want to get sick, don't do the Gale commandments. That'll get you sick for sure. Okay, that's the best thing. I do believe the reason Florida is spiking so high is because Loree has been dropping more bombs over Florida. Now, what's really interesting is one of my Facebook friends who caught this Loree's virus lives in South Florida. And if you'll notice this picture of South Florida, those look like pretty nasty clouds, bombs over South Florida. I think Loree's deliberately bombing South Florida with germ bombs because she hates Florida because Ron DeSantis is, I believe he's one of my supporters. I have more Republicans than Democrats on my side, though I have some Democrat supporters as well. But Donald Trump is one of my supporters. And therefore, Ron DeSantis, anybody who's a Trump supporter is usually one of my supporters. So Loree has been bombing the hell out of any states that support me in order to say that the reason they have so many infections is because they haven't been doing what Loree McBride's been telling everybody they need to do: wear a mask, practice social distancing, and all this stuff. When the fact of the matter is, the reason they're all getting sick is because Loree's dropping more bombs on those states than she is the other states. That's what I think is going on. She's increased her bombs. And boy, have I noticed it this past month. This past month has been miserable for me with her bombs. And I keep my men and I keep having to change our strategies to try to clean up the air. I mean, we try to clean up the air. We try to prevent the bombs from being made. We try to weaken them. But she is just so determined to make everybody sick. Like I said, she's even, her strategy now to overcome the shields is to go underneath them, launch the bombs from underneath them. And I've explained, if the bombs hit the ground, it would be like what happened to Canada or worse. In the Canadian pneumococcus that happened in 2011, the bombs were filled with the AIDS virus. So a lot of people caught AIDS. A lot of women got pregnant because these bombs are made out of Jesuit semen. And it was horrible. It was horrible. It was really horrible. You can check another link underneath this video about what happened during the Canadian pneumococcus. But after that pneumococcus was launched, our scientists got on the ball and we figured out, we put shields all over the world once we realized that there was a bomb like this. And the pneumococcus, for the most part, have not been hitting the ground. And we're getting better and better at blocking them from hitting the ground. And now I have a Gale shield, which started in 2016, and that pretty much prevents them from hitting the ground in Florida, though sometimes my shield will expand out further. I think it's out pretty far right now. So yes, and you're not going to get pregnant by breathing in aerosol semen. So some stupid cucks, Loree McBride trolls, are saying dumb comments. So yeah, if you want to be healthy, you need to do the Gale commandments. That's it. Okay. And anybody who can't tell by these photos that these are bomb clouds, they just have an IQ of 50 or lower, or they are just wicked lying trolls who are trying to help Loree McBride cover up her war crimes. Anyways, I'm going to get off. I've been on a lot longer than I expected, but I wanted to emphasize this picture. This is a bomb drop over South Florida, and a lot of Loree's bombs leave a pink afterglow at sunrise and sunset. And I believe that because she's been blitzkrieging Florida with bombs where I live, because she's trying to take me out, that's why everybody's getting this. That's why this state has a high, so many people getting the virus. That's why. If she stopped dropping her stinking bombs, I believe all these. And another thing is, I believe that we have a Candida Auris pandemic that is worse than Loree's virus. And that a lot of these people are getting sick because their immune system has been weakened because they're already infected with Candida Auris. And that's helping her get more people sick with her flu germ, which is the Loree's virus. So you need to keep from getting the super yeast. Take your Seroquel, do the Gale commandments, and that'll keep your immune system strong so that you won't get the yeast. Once you get the super yeast, your immune system's going to be very weak. And you'll catch everything that flies by you, man. So I really believe that if the tests were accurate and if they were useful, they would not only test for Loree's virus, but for Candida Auris. And I bet that 95% of the people who are dying from Loree's virus actually died from Candida Auris. Or they died from the complications of Candida Auris, which is a weakened immune system, which made it possible for Loree's virus to become a severe infection in that person. See how low those clouds are? What those are bomb clouds. Loree is trying to defeat my shield, so she uses her agents to explode the bombs underneath the shield. But the way my shield works is it keeps the bombs from hitting the ground, even when she launches bombs from underneath the shield using her agents. So she's still trying though. Look how low that is. See how low those clouds are? That's too low to be normal. See that? Those are bombs. And they're filled with germs. She does it on purpose because she puts germs in the clouds and she wants them to be low-lying so they'll infect the people and they'll breathe in the germs. That's why she's doing it this way. She's behind the COVID-19. But what it is she puts Candida Auris and COVID-19 in these clouds. And that way, because COVID-19 is like the flu, but Candida Auris is a super yeast. And that way she can make sure she kills her enemies. And she tries to blame it on Trump. That's very suspicious. Look at that. Here's another view. Look how low those clouds are. They're filled with germs, probably COVID-19 and Candida Auris. It's the Candida Auris that's killing people. And that germ is not being reported on. We got a mixed infection. People are infected with COVID-19 and Candida Auris. And they're not getting it from person-to-person contact. They're getting it from these bombs, that are filled with germs, and they're like these clouds, and then the germs filter down and everybody's breathing in the stuff. This is a form of biological warfare conducted by Loree McBride. She's a war criminal. Look how low those clouds are, man. That is really suspicious looking. Clouds should be right up about there, not right there. Look at that. That's a pretty suspicious looking sky right over there too. Out there in the distance, look how low those clouds are. She's dropping bombs underneath the shield, trying to hit the ground. But my shield, even when she does that, it keeps the bombs from hitting the ground. But she's trying though, and they're filled with deadly germs, COVID-19 and Candida Auris. This is the southern sky, kind of like the southeastern sky. Look at that. That is very suspicious looking over there. Then we'll go all around this way. And then right over there in the distance, that's very suspicious looking. See that? That looks like some sort of a ray bomb. Look at that. See the rays going like that? Yeah, it definitely looks like some sort of a ray bomb. I don't know if you can pick up on it. This is the eastern sky over the Atlantic Ocean. A little bit of a pink hue there too, that's suspicious as well. Loree McBride puts pink in her germ clouds. See the rays there? Right there. Some sort of a ray bomb. And they're filled with germs too. This is the kind of like the eastern, northeastern sky. See the rays right there? Can you see the rays there? Pretty obvious. Pretty obvious. Oh, that's an interesting cloud formation. Some more interesting clouds. This is the northern sky. This is the western sky.